We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories you're watching this Wednesday, June 11. The Office of the Vice President confirms receipt of the summons issued by the Senate. The Chamber's Sergeant-at-Arms served the summons at Duterte's office in Mandaluyong City this morning. The document orders the Vice President to respond to the allegations outlined in the impeachment articles against her.
Senate President Cheese Escudero says the upper chamber retains jurisdiction over the impeachment case of Vice President Duterte. This is despite the Senate's decision to remand the impeachment articles back to the House of Representatives. Escudero stressed that the proceedings have not been terminated. The House Prosecution Panel, for their part, is holding a press conference today, right this minute, in fact, regarding the impeachment trial. Representative Prosecutor Congresswoman Jinky Luistro stressed that the lower chamber fully and strictly followed the Constitution. She also said that the panel will ask the Senate Impeachment Court for clarification in its order remanding the impeachment articles.
President Bongbong Marcos is open to bring in a new power provider for Siquijor amid the ongoing power crisis in the province. This comes after he ordered the investigation into the island's current provider, Siquijor. The president says the government is now focused on short-term solutions, including the deployment of generators to stabilize power supply. And the Marcos administration's economic team warns of dangerous repercussions of the proposed 200 peso and 100 peso wage hike by the Senate and the House of Representatives. The team notes that such increase could raise inflation by up to 2 percentage points. They warn that the poorest of the poor will suffer as a wage hike will result in higher prices of goods, among other things. And joining us today, wala ba si, Wala si political heckler.
Busy.
We suppose he's heckling in person some people doon sa
you know where. But also, as always, from the Philippine Star, we've got Editor-in-Chief, Ami Pamintuan. Hi, Ami.
Hi, happy Wednesday. Ang gulo ng Wednesday natin.
Magulo ba?
Nakatulog ka ba kagabi?
Mukhang mahaba na naman yung araw natin ngayon.
Wala.
Dribble na yung yung kaso. Back to you. Back to
I mean,
you.
I don't know if mahaba because nothing seems to be going on. I mean,
It's in limbo.
Hindi tinanggap ng
No.
Kung walang official, sabi ng prosecution, they are deferring the receipt
Correct.
of that from the Senate.
Correct.
So back to you.
Teka lang.
Humingi daw sila ng clarification dun sa clarification na hinihingi ng Senado. Ang gulo-gulo.
Teka lang. So let's take a step back. We have to introduce a new word, remand. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so the articles of impeachment were remanded to the House last night after several hours of debate in the upper chamber. Tapos yun nga, as we speak, we're looking at live pictures of the House Prosecution Panel after they had a closed-door meeting on what to do about this, what the Senate did last night. And as Ami said, ang sagot so far is that we are not defying nor disobeying the Senate. What we are doing is deferring pending clarification on the matter. So ang balak ng House ngayon is they're going to file a motion seeking clarification on the issues that the Senate raised.
Pero paano yun? Kasi holiday bukas, tapos sa Friday,
They adjourn. They adjourn sinadi.
Well, in the meantime, mukhang totoo naman yung sinabi ni Cheese na tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung proceedings, hindi na terminate kasi pinadalhan ng summons. Yung Office of the Vice President, which was confirmed by the OVP kanina.
Correct. Which she received.
The process is ongoing. Kasi kahit mag-adjourn yung Congress, tuloy-tuloy yung role ng Senate as a quasi-judicial body hanggang June 30.
Pero Ami,
So they have to keep working.
but Ami, how will the accused respond to charges that have been remanded?
Hindi ang inaano nila, 'di ba? Tinatanong ng Senate yung House constitutional ba tong inyong
Constitutional at kung ipagpapatuloy sa 20th
Kaya
Congress.
sinabi ni Christian Munsod, nag-comment siya, walang karapatan yung Senado, yung mga judges to question the constitutionality. Ang trabaho lang nila ay mag-try. Ang magpa-file daw ng question of constitutionality, dapat yung accused o yung abogado nila.
Which SP Cheese also answered this morning when he had a press con. Sabi niya, well, the House and the Senate are not co-equal in this circumstance. Kasi now we've convened as an impeachment court. So in this matter, ang Senate, ang judge, ang House, ang prosecution. So hindi daw co-equal, which is why he believes that they have a right to remand the articles back nga to the House. So
Pero yung remanding kasi is based on the question of
correct.
constitutionality.
Oo nga eh. So,
Pwede ba nilang questionin yun? Hindi pwede yun eh. You are a judge, you're questioning the constitutionality. You're supposed to rule on a case. Di ba?
And also,
Tapos isa rin yan, pati yung sa OVP, hindi, nag-cover ako ng kahit hindi ako abogado, nag-cover ako matagal ng judiciary.
Okay. Well,
Pati yung yung pinadala sa OVP, hindi pa binabasa yung articles of impeachment eh.
Correct.
Can you send it to that office?
correct.
Para para...
the presentation
para
of the
sumagot.
articles of impeachment.
Which was supposed to be today.
Dahil it was supposed to be presented today.
Oo.
Not defer.
Na sabi ni SP Cheese, it's rendered moot because yun nga, they have the remanded
Kaya nga, at the
articles.
same time, sinasabi nila, meron na silang jurisdiction dun sa defendant dahil pinadalhan muna ng summons.
A lot of legal gray areas.
Let's bring in a lawyer.
Clearly, we need help with answering some of these. So let's bring in our guest today, our esteemed guest. We have Attorney Ted Te, former Supreme Court spokesperson and human rights lawyer. Attorney Te, good afternoon. Thanks for making time for us today.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Hi, attorney.
Hi, good afternoon, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear
Attorney,
loud and clear.
gulong-gulo na kami.
Kami rin.
Kayo na. Attorney, shed some light on the matter naman. So first issue is can the Senate well, they've gone and done what they did, which is to remand articles of impeachment back to the House. But is there any legal basis for that?
I think there is almost near unanimity that you do not find that word remand, return, revert, whatever in the Constitution, as far as the role of the Senate acting as an impeachment court is concerned. I think we need to first understand and emphasize that what we are observing here primarily is the Constitution. Now, the Constitution defines the power that is given to the Senate and the House in relation to impeachment. And we are no longer talking about the Senate and the House as legislative bodies. They are, for this purpose, accountability bodies. And they have different roles, even as they occupy, again, with due respect to the Senate President, co-equal footing. They just have different roles. Hindi ibig sabihin nun na katulad ng regular na korte na yung judge ang masusunod sa lahat ng bagay. Dahil hindi rin lumalabas sa Constitution yung katagang korte. It is really just a shorthand, because in a way the Senate is just given the power to try and decide. And naging shorthand yun kasi try, yung association kagad natin ay korte. So it is not supposed to act like the regular court. And so ang una nating titinan dito yung Constitution. Wala nakalagay sa Constitution that the Senate can, as acting as an impeachment tribunal, can remand. And in fact, it should not. Narinig ko yung tail end ng discussion ninyo. Ang papasukan po natin kasi dito, separation of powers. Nakahati kasi yung distribution of powers dyan. At alam naman natin na pagdating sa usapin ng pag-interpret ng Constitution, malinaw yan. It is the courts. And on issues related, for example, to the question that was raised by senators. And again, that is something that is very, very unprecedented, raised by the senators themselves. Not even by the respondent. Dahil hindi pa nagserve ng summons kahapon yung respondent. And the question, for example, of whether it complies with the transmitted articles complies with the supposed one-year ban, no? Marami ng desisyon ang Korte Suprema. Ang Korte Suprema ang nagde-decide kung itong impeachment complaints na inihain ay lumabas doon sa one-year ban na yan, no? At siguro wag din natin kalimutan na merong pending na petition mismo si Vice President sa Supreme Court, no? So ito yung mga issues na dapat kasi siguro na nailatag muna kung sino yung may kapangyarihan at sino yung may mandato na gumalaw dito. Malinaw dapat kahapon ang batay sa sariling rules ng Senado na ang una na lang ginawa ay tanggapin muna yung articles, no? At i-present, no? I-present yung articles bago magkaroon ng summons. Dapat yun yung nangyari ngayon. At dahil sinabi nga ni Senate President, moot and academic, no? Pero nagpadala silang summons. In fact, under their own rules, the rules of impeachment adopted by the Senate, it is only upon presentation of the articles of impeachment that summons will be sent. So, saan yun? Saan nakabase yun? Kaya I think the House Prosecution Panel is, I think, acting prudently by asking clarification. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Saan nakabase itong mga to? No? Dahil mahirap mahirap maintindihan dahil ang giya natin dito ay yung Constitution, no? At ang nag-implement ng constitutional dynamics dito, no, ay yung rules of impeachment of the Senate. Right. As acting as an impeachment tribunal.
Attorney, can I just do a quick follow-up on that point? So was SP Cheese incorrect? Mali po ba siya when he said that the House and the Senate are not co-equal in this scenario kasi ang role ng Senate is to be the judge and the role of the House is to be the prosecutor, and therefore in his mind mas mataas po yung Senate. The Senate has a higher power. Was he correct or incorrect in saying that?
Ayoko naman sabihin na mali siya. I just disagree with him.
Pero sir,
I don't agree with
Pero sir,
that opinion.
si Prosecutor Jinky Luisto, just a few moments ago, said that as prosecutors, they're morally bound to follow the orders of the impeachment court. I was wondering whether that was correct too, eh. Kasi she said that in the press con.
Well, once the case gets underway, yung dynamics ay ang masusunod kasi diyan is that the prosecution panel presents its evidence, right? And then any objections, and we remember this. Nakadalawang impeachment trial na tayo. No? Hindi bago sa atin ito, eh, no? Once any objections are raised, any questions of law are raised, what happens? The senators acting as judges, right, decide by majority vote, di ba? Hindi lamang si Senate President ang nagde-decide, di ba? Pinagbobotohan ng mga senador yung mga desisyon, no? So, hindi rin ganun ka-accurate to say na everything, no? Basta sabihin ko, susundin nyo. Again, we need to siguro remove that association, no, na ito ay ordinary court, no? Hindi nga korte ito, eh, no? It is an accountability mechanism. That's why I prefer to call it a tribunal because, it's misleading sometimes if you think it's a court because our idea of a court is a judge, no? Where the judge, siya ay masusunod. In this case, hindi lamang isa, eh, no? It's a whole chamber, no? It's a whole chamber. Pinagbobotohan nila yan. And again, because not every member of the Senate is a lawyer, no? Sometimes many of the things that we will vote on are not even, legal issues. So again, hindi siya katulad noon. So I just like to siguro say that magkaiba yung dynamics, no, ng ano. But I think I disagree with the Senate President's characterization that hindi equal, no, because again the constitutional dynamics here for impeachment, no, are laid out not in the legislative section of the Constitution, but in the accountability section, no? Dinefine ng malinaw ng Constitution. Ang gagawin ng House ay they will constitute themselves as a prosecution panel they present the evidence because they made the decision to impeach. Therefore, nasa kanila yung ebidensya. Ang Senado, they constitute themselves as a tribunal to try and decide the case. So, ganun lang yung dynamics na susundin natin. Ngayon, within the dynamics of that impeachment tribunal, syempre, kung anong desisyon ng impeachment tribunal pag binagbotohan nila at ito yung ruling, well, of course, yun ay binding doon sa prosecution as well as the defense, no? On all parties. Kasi pumasok ka doon sa larangan ng impeachment, no? So, ganun po yung in that sense, masusunod yung Senate acting as an impeachment tribunal, but I do not think it is reflective of of a sudden shift in terms of importance. Hindi ibig sabihin nun less equal yung House impeachment panel, because we have to remember ang basic question sa impeachment is guilt of the charge as well as continuing eligibility to sit in office. Dalawa lang naman no? And the reason why it is given to the House is because the House, it is the bigger constituency dahil sa district sila ine-elect, no? On the other hand, the Senate has a national mandate. So again, makita mo the design of the Constitution is very specific. So ako, I disagree. I wouldn't be, I wouldn't go so far saying ako yung tama, ako yung mali. I just disagree with him.
Attorney, ang sinasabi ni Cheese kanina, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung process even with the remanding of the case. Tapos, yun na nga, pinadala na yung na-receive na, sinabi ng OVP, na-receive na nila yung summons. Ngayon, ang tanong dyan, kahit hindi pa ba nababasa yung articles of impeachment before the impeachment tribunal, pwede nang sabihin ng Senado, ni-receive na namin yan formally, so we can summon na. Pwede ba yan?
Well, Ma'am, I mean, that's essentially what they did Kaya nakakapagtaka yung niremand pa nila. Kasi they already took cognizance of the articles.
No, I mean, kailangan ba ng reading ng articles of impeachment? Kasi baka labanan yun ng mga abogado ni Vice President.
Baka in the future, maging
di pa
butas
naman
yan.
nababasa yung articles of impeachment Bakit niyo ako sinusumon? Pwede bang sabihin ng Senado, na-receive na namin yan formally, so pwede na?
Yeah, again, if I go by the rules of impeachment as adopted by the Senate, if I am not mistaken, this is the previous rule, no? Ang nakapirma pa yata dito si then Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, no? It says upon presentation of the articles of impeachment, then summons shall be served. So my reading of that is kailangan mailatag muna yung articles. That's why I'm surprised, no? Bakit niremand nila supposedly sa House, no? With two conditions, and then nag-issue sila summons with a strict deadline. So di ba? So I would not be surprised, no? I would not be surprised if indeed the Vice President's legal team will point that out. Kasi nasa rules of impeachment
So baka may bago silang rule kasi parang formality lang ba yon? Yung reading of the articles of impeachment?
I'm not sure, ma'am. I'm not sure if there's a new rule, but I picked up these rules from the website of the Senate. I think it's current. And that's my reading of the rule. No? Again, I may be wrong, but that my reading of the rule is that upon presentation of the articles of impeachment, and then the organization of the Senate, a writ of summons shall be issued. No, so kailangan mo nang ipresenta, no, yung articles of impeachment. Kasi ano nga naman palang sasagutin, di ba? Kung hindi naman, hindi kinikilala yung articles, di ba? Sila yung magsasabi kasi dun sa respondent, whoever the impeached officer is, ito yung sasagutin nyo. Di ba? Ngayon, kung may duda sila dun sa articles, huwag mo na nila pasagutin. Kasi,
yes, sir. Actually, that's also the question we were raising. Parang how can they ask the VP to respond to assertions and allegations that are being remanded to the lower chamber? And to your other point, sir, it might sound like a technicality to other people na yung presentation ng articles of impeachment. Pero baka naman in the future,
Buli
as we
ng
go down
abogado.
the line of the impeachment, baka erase yan, and then it becomes,
Yeah.
it gets dismissed on a technicality.
Yes.
Well, again, I would agree, no, na yesterday was unprecedented. Marami nangyari kahapon na hindi pa ever nangyayari, no? Again, nakadalawang impeachment trial tayo. We thought we had seen everything. And then yesterday happened, no? I would agree with you that in fact, again, no, down the line, baka sabihin nila, sandali, may irregular na nangyari dito. But one thing also we must remember here, no, ang kasi pinag-uusapan kasi natin dito, again, as I mentioned earlier, is really guilt of the offense and then yung eligibility to continue in office. Dalawa lang naman eh. Walang kulong na involved dito, no? Kasi any criminal or civil liability that will arise out of any finding in an impeachment conviction will come much later, di ba? So, hindi ito criminal trial in the sense of a criminal trial in an ordinary proceeding. So, if we're talking about due process here, no, the due process that would, for example, invalidate a proceeding, the due process here is satisfied when the respondent is heard and given an opportunity to respond, no? And in fact, I think the rule allows the respondent that, no? In fact, the sending of the summons, even before the articles are ano ba tatawagin natin dyan, certified,
Pinabasa.
kasi niremand po eh. Niremand. So hindi, pati Senado, sinasabi nila, hindi pa kami sigurado kung yan nga yung articles. Hindi pa sila end. The second condition, 20th Congress. Parang sinasabi nila, baka hindi matuloy. Kasi yun po nakakalito which is why I agree with what the House Prosecution Panel is saying, that we need to clarify this. They are effectively binding the 20th Congress, which does not yet exist, no, to a situation that is happening now. And so if they are that unsure of the articles, they have not presented it, hindi pa binabasa, binalik sa House, at may condition pa dun sa susunod na House, no, the 20th Congress, na kumbaga sabihan niyo kami kung gusto niyo pa magtuloy, ito pa rin ba ang articles, no? Basically yun ang sinasabi ng impeachment tribunal.
Yeah.
Bakit nila pa sasagutin yung Vice President
19.
on this current articles, di ba? So conflicting po yung messages, conflicting po yung signals.
Attorney, before you brought you in, actually, there was a House Prosecution Panel press con. We're rolling the pictures right now, during which the Congresswoman Jinky Luistro said they followed the Constitution fully and strictly, and they believe they did not violate the one-year bar rule. She also said it was outside their power to withdraw the articles of impeachment. Could you weigh in on that, please? Is it really, do they really have no choice at this point? Because there are also some people who are suggesting na, okay, given the political climate, maybe the House is being given a chance here to withdraw the impeachment complaint, right? They're being given an easy out if ayaw na nilang ituloy. But she was saying that it's outside of their power. What do you think?
Well, as far as the 19th Congress, the House of the 19th Congress is concerned, tama po yung sinabi ni Congresswoman Luistro, Representative Luistro, no? Kasi yun po ang boto ng House ng 19th Congress. At kaya naisalang yung articles of impeachment sa Senado. Ngayon, pagpasok po ng 20th Congress, no, a different House, no, because unlike the Senate, the House is not a continuing body. All their terms end after 3 years, no. So, kumbaga bagong House ito, no. The question would be, does the 20th House, no, House of the 20th Congress, rather want to change, mukhang yun po yung second condition doon sa Senate resolution. But again, it is confusing kasi may nakasalang na articles of impeachment from one House. And if there is a question as to whether those articles are, violative of the Constitution, tingin ko hindi dapat yung impeachment tribunal ang magtanong. Ang dapat po magtanong doon ay yung respondent. No? That is in fact a defense that has been raised by many who have been subjected to impeachment complaints. Kaya nag-decide ang Supreme Court. Maraming cases ang Supreme Court discussing the one-year bar, no? Discussing all the impediments towards the House taking on an impeachment complaint. Medyo mayaman ng jurisprudence po natin dyan. No? And kaya surprising sa karamihan na hindi man lang na-erase ng respondent ay agad-agaran ang impeachment tribunal mismo yung kumuha ng issue na yan. At sa pananaw ng marami, no, and I saw this opinion on many discussion boards, no. Ang lumalabas pa nga doon, ang mga membro pa ng impeachment tribunal ang umaabogado para doon sa respondent, no. And so medyo kakaiba nga po talaga dahil po ang kasama po sa oath na sinumpaan ng mga senador, no, is an oath to be impartial.
Impartial.
Impartial eh. And so yung mga question na ganyan that will aid a defense, no? Hindi siguro dapat nanggagaling sa mga members ng impeachment tribunal kasi nga may abogado naman po yung respondent eh, no? At may oras naman po yung respondent para i-raise yung mga depensang yan, no? Again, we've seen this before. We've gone through 2 impeachment trials. And, nangyari po yung impeachment trials with all the trappings, no, with all of the lawyers making their presentations. Nangyari po eh. So, hindi mahirap maintindihan kung bakit dito sa sitwasyon na to ay parang ginagawa ang lahat para hindi matuloy, no? Dahil kung sakasakali pangatlo na to eh. Hindi to bago sa atin.
Sir, the first order of the impeachment court is a certification from Congress that it did not violate the Constitution. How does that come across to you? Kasi parang,
Tinatanong mo sila,
would they expect,
did you do something unconstitutional?
Would you expect an answer otherwise?
Did you follow the rules? Did you do it right?
I mean,
Tanong.
would that even be asked of anybody?
Sabihin ng mga congressmen, unconstitutional yung ginawa namin. Hindi ba? What are you expecting?
What's the value of that order?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What's the value of that?
Alam mo, Ed, ang ano kasi natin dito, ang basic guide kasi natin dito, di ba, is rationality eh. Is it consistent with reason, di ba? I mean, would you expect members of the House who have, basically done something that they voted upon, they spent time on, kumbaga, kinumit na nila yung pangalan nila, pinirmahan nila yan, tinansmit nila, ginawa na nila lahat para lamang sabihin bigla, ay, hindi namin sinunod ng Constitution. No, medyo inconsistent yun with the human experience, no? Parang tinatanong ng Senado, uy, umamin ka na hindi mo sinunod ito o hindi mo alam yung requirements ng Constitution. Diba? I mean, kaya mahirap maintindihan yung order ng Senado kahapon, no? Kaya I think while effectively the onus now was given to the House of the 19th Congress, I think again tama yung nila. Let's clarify. Ano ba talaga gusto niyo mangyari dito? Kasi we can retransmit it to you again, right? And that would be it, because by that we would be saying, hindi, we stand by our transmission, right? Ang hinahanap pa ng Senado dito ay pag-amin. Kasi kung pag-amin ang hinahanap ng Senado, sabi mo nga, Ed, hindi talaga mangyayari yan. And so we are going nowhere with this, di ba?
But attorney,
again,
just to play the devil's advocate, maybe the value is maybe the value is they want to cover their legal basis so that they won't get challenged down the road. Walang magka-challenge, magsasabi na, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Baka they're just covering their basis to make sure.
Again, I see that, right? But again, we must remember, hindi nila role yun eh. Kasi impeachment, they just took an oath. Minutes before, they just took an oath to be impartial. that is an argument in defense of the respondent, right? And at any point in time, and in fact, no, may pending case, may pending petition
In Supreme Court.
February
sa Supreme
18.
Court.
Yeah.
Sa Supreme Court, wherein all of those arguments, could have been raised, were actually raised in the Supreme Court, and therefore, properly, the Supreme Court would have acted on those arguments, right? And
Yes, sir.
so, yun ang mahirap talaga maintindihan. No? So, again, I hope the Senate does convene again as an impeachment tribunal to act on the clarification requested by the House, because I think it is better for everyone, no? Dahil nga ang hinahanap natin talaga dito is accountability eh.
Yes, sir.
Hindi natin sinasabi dito, tama, mali ginawa niya, guilty siya, hindi siya guilty. Ang inaabol natin dito may mga tanong eh. Di ba? And
Sir?
the Constitution tells us this is the only mechanism
Yes, sir. Sir, Pablo lang,
wherein
sir.
you can actually ask those questions.
Sir Pablo lang, sir, very briefly kasi we're out of time na eh. Pablo lang, barring, aside from just waiting for these two chambers to toss the ball around, kasi yun ang nangyayari, they're just tossing it around eh. I know, it's part of the process and all
They
that.
need dribble.
Dribble nga. But is there any
Dribble.
recourse for the ordinary Filipino or for civil society, for example? Is there any legal recourse to move things forward or backward? I mean, are we just going to wait? Or is there
Wait
anything
until
else
the
that can be
next
done?
election? Anything
Well-
anything people can do in the
Well-
meantime is the question.
I think people are already doing that. No, statements have been written. Almost everyone has chimed in. Those statements have actually moved the Senate, right, from a position na hindi kami gagalaw to taking the oath as an impeachment tribunal. Step
Binalik
one
nila.
yun. No? Step one yun. Merong nangyayari mga protesta sa labas. No, I think that is a legal recourse. No, that is something that is guaranteed to us by the Constitution. Petition for redress of grievance under the Bill of Rights. Now, if we're talking about litigation, sometimes filing of cases might not be the best solution. Dahil minsan pag inangat mo na sa korte,
Lalo.
wala ka na masyadong magawa kasi mag-aantay ka na ngayon sa korte, di ba? So I think the people are doing what they can to make their voices heard. The people are already telling the senators acting as members of the impeachment tribunal na hindi ito ordinaryo, no, ordinaryong sitwasyon na merong ini-impeach na dahil that's a nangyari na delay, no. The people are actually monitoring this.
Yeah.
So mismo sila nagpaparamdam eh. So I think under the circumstances, yun lang talaga pwede nating magawa to break this this logjam, itong dribbling na nangyayari, no? So at least ngayon may dribble na. Dati kasi slow break lang eh. Talagang hindi gagalaw. Push the ball.
Gumagalaw na.
Actually may gagalaw.
For a long time.
That's
May
another
dribble
way.
na nangyayari, no? So
That's another way of looking at it.
Half full glass, okay siya. Half full
Oo nga.
glass.
Kaya nga eh. Okay, we will leave that
Well-
there for now, but we hope to have you on again another time. Thank you so much for joining Storycon today. Attorney Ted Te, former Supreme Court spokesperson.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
anytime.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
Attorney.
Thank you. Salamat po.
You are watching Storycon on One News. We just need to take a very quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
We've got developing news and stories behind headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Edlin Gao.
And I'm Regina Lay, and still with us, Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star. Ami.
Bilin ka ba, Ami?
Hilo na ako, hilo. Mukhang mahaba-haba na naman tong araw natin at hanggang gabi na naman tong pag-iintay ng mga new developments.
But
na
are we
It doesn't,
expecting
Mga
today?
it doesn't seem like meron eh because we're waiting on Senate plenary. Mukhang hindi naman magpa-plenary. And the House has already conducted its press con, the prosecution
Pero
panel.
we're waiting for actually yung formal move ng plenary sa House eh. Si Speaker daw nandun sa San Juanico. Wala naman daw message. Wala naman daw message instruction to the prosecution team. Pero iniintay natin nga kung ano yung, apart from, of course, seeking clarification from the Senate, ano ba to, kuya, ate? Hindi natin alam kasi ano mangyayari dyan mamaya. Di ba?
It's safe to say, what I gathered from the press con earlier, it's safe to say the House
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be withdrawing the impeachment complaint. They don't
No,
see
they cannot
Oo, they don't see it as within their power
Yeah.
to do
And
so.
there are no rules daw allowing the Senate to remand.
So at this
Di
point,
di pwedeng no return, no exchange din yung anong yan yung kasong yan
Wala nang
Di ba?
warranty
You cannot return. Kasi yun yung interpretation, hindi siya actually returning but seeking clarification, no? Pero ano ba naman yung sinabi nga ni Attorney Te? Sasabihin ba naman yung mga prosecutor unconstitutional yung ano namin, yung complaint namin? Di ba? Ano exactly ba talaga yung hinihingi ninyo? What are you asking? Are you making them confess, oops, nagkamali pala kami, i-withdraw namin?
And also, the second part of the order is asking for a guarantee or a commitment that 20th Congress will be pursuing the articles
Yes.
of impeachment. But isn't that tantamount to parang
Hindi naman nila pwede. They cannot speak for the 20th
kaya
Congress.
nga eh. Well,
Diba?
two things eh. It's either that or they wait for the 20th Congress to which is 28th of July.
Hindi
swear
naman
in.
forthwith
To
yun.
swear in, and then they will give the commitment.
Diba?
Kasi nga, it's been tossed back and forth that the 19th Congress cannot make any commitments for the 20th Congress eh. So that's a given already eh. So baka yun ang ibig nila sabihin din na kailangan intayin ng
You cannot
20th.
keep second guessing eh. Dapat gawin mo na lang
Si-
yung trabaho mo at let the lawyers. In fact, one of the lawyers, si Israelito Torion, who is also the lawyer of Apollo Kibuloy, nag-file na ngayon ng supplemental petition sa Supreme Court na pinapatigil nga yung Senate from jumping over kung
To
sakasakaling
the 20th.
matuloy yung trial from letting the case cross over to the 20th. Merong ganung petition na final ngayon.
Yeah, he's the
But it's
co-petitioner of
actually in the Supreme Court.
He's the co-petitioner of the February 18 petition
Yes,
for certiorari.
supplemental petition.
Oo,
Na pinatitigil yung raising the points that were
The
raised
violation of the one-year ban.
by Senator Bato doon sa kanyang pagpapatigil ng In fact, meron ding question diyan eh. Pag nakapanumpa ka na ba kung judge ka, impeachment court judge, pwede ka mag-motion. Isang question yun
can you revert back as a-
file a
to the-
motion?
Oo.
Di ba dapat ang magmo-motion yung abogado
Well, yeah.
ng respondent
Oo.
or defendant or whatever the person is called, yung respondent.
Yun nga yung sinasabi ni
Isa
Attorney,
pang question yun.
yun nga yung sinasabi ni
Kasi
Attorney Tente.
you take your oath to be impartial,
Right.
mag-a-assess ka na lang ng kasong ipipresenta sa'yo eh. Hindi presenta yung kaso, di ba?
Oo. So yun nga,
nasan tayo ngayon?
so yun nga yung point din ni Attorney Tente, which is bakit parang nag-aabogado sila for the respondent at this
Yes.
point by filing that motion right away right after the oath taking. But I like what former Solicitor General Florin Hilbay wrote on Facebook. Sabi niya, he wrote a very long post. At the end of it, he says, ultimately, all remedies are political and could very well be in the direct hands of the people themselves. So the only thing feeling ko certain at this point is, look, we're in uncharted territory here. Parang we didn't think it could be remanded, but it was remanded. We thought
We didn't even know that there was remanding.
Kaya we didn't even know there was
Oo nga
such an
eh.
option, di ba?
Wala
Sila-
yun.
They're just
Pinasa ko
deciding
ng
on
Article
things.
11, paulit-ulit.
Wala,
back and
isa
forth.
talaga.
Wala. But they're just deciding
Wala
on
kang makikita ron.
they're just deciding on things as they go along. So parang this is what he's saying. Ultimately, all remedies are political and are in the direct hands of the people themselves. So whether or not the House accepts or rejects this remand, what's the noun of remand? Remandment?
Return.
Tagalog?
The return, the
You
remandment.
remand
The remand.
remanding.
The remanding of these articles, we don't know. Pero mukhang hindi nila i-withdraw yung impeachment complaint kasi it's not within their power
They
to
cannot.
do so.
Yeah.
Oh, ang sabi ni Tonya Velasco, nag-resume na yung Senate.
Okay,
O kaya,
may plenary na.
sige, pwede
Alright.
na, makinig na tayo.
We will end this then. Thank you so much for
Sabi sa'yo,
joining.
mahaba pa araw natin eh.
Thanks so much for joining Storycon today. I'm Pamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star. Join us again tomorrow, 4 p.m. for Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.